fries.
You didn't give me no fries. I got an empty box.
Would you like another?
Extra big-ass fries.
I said I didn't get any.
Thank you. Your account has been charged. Balance is 0. Please come back when you can afford to make a purchase. I'm sorry you had
Come on. Let's get
Sorry
this
you had
started.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, but above all, we believe in freedom of existence for self-reliance. This station is 100% listener supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I have a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years from the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, this hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our Seed Pack Special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need as humans to start taking care of ourselves and not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning, how to do everything website, all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What's a good lunch? That goes in eternity.
All right, let's get it going. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go! Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. It is 10 p.m. Thursday evening, and we are here live on Studio A. Yeah, you've waited all week for the most cutting-edge topics and guests, and now it's time to deliver. That's right, it's the Stephen D. Kelly Show with your host, Stephen D. Kelly.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the show, Stephen D. Kelly Show. I'm your host, Stephen D. Kelly. Halloween night, October 31st, Eve of All Hallows, All Saints Day. I'm not even going to mention the pagan celebrations. We're going to have a show tonight is going to be talking about alien abductions, UFOs, kind of in the spirit of Orson Welles and his great radio broadcast many, many years ago. But before I do that, I'm going to go on a little rant, and I apologize to you all in advance, but I've got a couple things that I need to get off my chest. One of them is regarding Halloween and my feelings about it, and I need to discuss this a little bit so that you people understand where I'm coming from so that nobody is confused. I also want to discuss an issue that I've been skirting for a little while now that is becoming a little more problematic for me, and that is professional jealousy. Another issue I want to discuss is the nature of our truther community. So I hope you guys aren't offended, but I'm going to get into that. And first of all, starting with Halloween, those of you that know me or don't know me or think they know me, I want you to know why I do what I do. Some of you think that I'm anti-government. I'm anti-Obama or whatever, this or that. The reality is I am anti-Satan. That is why I do what I do. When I was involved with the Templars and the Cavers and all these guys and was invited to become one of them and join the elite, why did I reject that? It wasn't because, well, sure, it was partially because they thought they were better than everybody and they thought people were animals and they were gods amongst men and all this, but the bottom line is they are Satanists. They kill people for sacrifice for satanic worship, sacrifice to Satan. And if you don't believe in Satan, that's okay, but they do. And the world is ruled by the satanic powers, and it has been for many, many epochs. That means 100,000 years or beyond, a long time. So here on this holiday that so many people think is dedicated to worshiping of Satan and filling kids with GMO candy, and you know, we have people out there that like to celebrate the pagan holidays, Samhain, whatever. They like to celebrate the old practices and the old ways. I have no respect for that whatsoever. And those of you out there that are what I call satanic light, the Luciferians, the Rosicrucians, the Knights of Columbus, and some of you pagans out there, you know, you don't have to be using blood in your sacrifices, and you don't have to be doing this or that, but don't kid yourself. If you're following the old earth religions and you're rejecting the patriarchy for the matriarchal system, you are just as lost. There is nothing good to be said about that. And sure, the church is corrupt, and it always has been corrupt. So this is not about the church. This is not about Christianity. This is not about pagans. That is all polarizing nonsense, and I don't have anything to do with it. And I don't want to have anything to do with it, and I am disgusted by it. So those of you out there that giggle when they see a church burn down, or they think that it's fun to go out and say, "Hail Satan," or stupid crap like that, I have no time for you. You are the enemy. You need to wake up. All right, moving on. Professional jealousy. I want to say that I am very, very grateful for all of the gracious acceptance and support that I have received from Revolution Radio. You've all been very, very kind and great and just very supportive to me, and I really, really appreciate that. And I think that you guys have welcomed me, and I think it's wonderful. This is a great family to be part of, and I tell you that I live for this. This being on the air and talking to you right now, this is the only thing that really matters to me anymore. But I'll tell you, there's some people out there who seem to not understand what is going on, and they see me and they see that I've been fortunate enough to attract a lot of listeners to my show, and I appreciate that, and I thank you all for your support. But there is absolutely no reason to be jealous of me and to think that I am somehow stealing your limelight and stealing your thunder. That's ridiculous. I have people out there. I have nothing. I live in poverty. I have nothing. I make no money from this. I live a very, very humble life. And I have people out there with fancy cars and nice homes and families and all this. They live with their children. They have their children with them. And they are jealous of me. And this is ridiculous. These people need to get over it and need to go on with their lives and move on, because I am not a threat. And if they feel that I'm doing something that somehow overshadows them, then maybe they need to think about what they're doing, and maybe they need to adjust their approach. Now, when it gets to the truther community, somebody asked me today, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they were asking me about somebody in our community who was a relatively well-known person, and I don't need to mention the name because that's not important. But the thing is that even though I have become aware of a lot of these people, I don't necessarily follow them, and I don't necessarily study everything that they have to say, because I don't need to parrot other people's messages. I believe in having a stronger message, and I believe that my message, the strength of my message, is the only thing that matters. And if my message attracts people, if my message resonates with the people out there, that's wonderful, and that's the best that I could hope for. But I'll tell you, I was challenged today to try to find somebody in the truther community that I actually had respect for, and I struggled. But you know, I came up with 3 names. You guys have heard these names before, because when I first came out in November, it's almost been 1 year now since I did the Alchemy event in November, and that's when I came out, and I give David Farman a lot of credit for taking a chance on me and putting me out in public and getting me on stage, and everything has changed since then. But those 3 names, Phil Schneider, Webb, Gary Webb, and come on, you guys, you know who the other one is. Oh gosh, Bill Cooper. All right, Bill Cooper, Phil Schneider, and Gary Webb. Why do I respect those people? First of all, in this community, we have experiencers and we have researchers. People have called me a researcher. I take that as an insult. I am not a researcher. I had a life that was on the inside before I ever decided to go in this direction. Now, I look at these guys like Phil Schneider, Gary Webb, and Bill Cooper, and what is it about them that makes them special? First of all, Schneider and Cooper were insiders. They both were inside the system. They saw reality, they saw what was going on, and they decided to do the right thing and become a whistleblower, to start talking about it and bring it in public. Gary Webb, former reporter for the San Jose Mercury News, wrote the story. Oh gosh, I don't remember the name of the story, but it was involving the CIA funneling weapons and drugs into the inner cities. Well, these three men paid the ultimate price to do this. They are dead. They were killed for what they did. So, if you want to impress me, if you're out there and if you wrote a book based on something that somebody told you, and you think that makes you a truther, and that makes you a whistleblower, give me a break. How many of them are out there? How many of these people are going to these events, up on stage, spewing their whatever, attracting people because of a book they wrote, because of something that somebody told them, or something research that they spent years researching? Give me a break. Anyway, so, yes, researcher is an insult. So I wanted to get that off my chest, because I have been under attack, and I have had people acting like I am somehow taking something from them. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Well, tonight, I'm joined by one of my fellow hosts here on Revolution Radio, Mark Schneider. And Mark Schneider has a program, Ohio Exopolitics, and he's interviewed me at least twice prior to my going public, and we talked a lot about Pleiadians and aliens. I also have another gentleman that's going to be joining us named Benjamin Sims, and he came to me and he had a experience with ETs, and we're going to talk to him about that. And I've also invited everybody out there that has any experience with ETs to join us, and we're going to be taking calls after the first hour, but I'm going to go ahead and bring in these other gentlemen probably before that, and I'm going to start with Mark Schneider. But Mark, before I bring you in, I just want to remind everybody again, Revolution Radio is listener-supported radio, and since I've come onto this network, I want to thank all of these listeners and everybody that's been here, that you've been very, very generous, and the station is doing good, and we've actually are meeting our goals. And if we can continue doing that, that's great. You're going to help us grow, and wonderful things are going to happen, and we're going to continue doing this, and pretty soon we're going to be all over the radio, and we're going to be having millions of listeners, and this station is becoming a leader in the alternative media arena, and I'm very, very thankful to be able to be a part of that. Okay, Mark, go ahead and unmute your microphone and come in and say hello to everybody.
Stephen, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I hope I didn't upset anybody with my rant. Can you hear me? Could you hear where that is coming from?
You just got a little quiet there.
Well, that's Toastmaster training. Rather than say we just let it go quiet.
There you go.
That's called a pause for emphasis.
You got me there. That was good.
All right, now Mark, we're going to be talking about aliens and UFOs, and I want to talk a little bit about your show briefly. But before we get into that, what I want to hear from you is I want to know what got you into this. What turned you on to this whole business with the aliens, and what piqued your interest, and what made you decide to devote your show to that?
Steve, that's a long discussion. That could last the rest of the show.
Oh, come on, give us the Cliff Notes.
I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes. I had a very strange experience that happened to me when I was about 8 years old. I used to lay in bed at night, and I would look out the window in the evenings and just marvel at the beautiful starry skies out there and think, there must be other life out there. There must be intelligent life out there. And every night I would just lay out there and marvel. Lay and just marvel at the stars. And it wasn't very long until it was like a reddish orb that would appear outside my window at some distance, and then it would leave. It would leave, and then later it would come back, maybe the next night or maybe 2 or 3 nights later. And I started telling my father about it, and he would run into the bedroom, and sometimes he would catch a glimpse of it. Well, it got to the point where it would get larger and larger, and there was one evening when it was the size of a full moon, and it was really astonishing. And my father ran into the room, and all I remember is kind of an orange light, and I also remember kind of connecting to an intelligence that was, it's just beyond anything I can describe, the intelligence that I connected to. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. I asked my father about that event because I have kind of a limited memory of what really happened. And all the color went out of his face. And he said, "You mean you don't remember?" And I said, "No, I don't remember everything." And he said they fired an orange beam of light into the room. And I said, "You got to be kidding me." And he said, "No." He said, "I can't believe you can't remember that." Now I'm looking at his face, and he's in his mid-70s, and it looks like he's seen a ghost just talking about it again. And I said, "Dad, what happened next?" And I thought I heard him say, "You faded out." And I asked him, "What does that mean? What do you mean I faded out?" And he said, "I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm not going to talk about it anymore." So I didn't really push it. My father passed away later that year, so I never really pushed him anymore on that issue. But I can tell you that the intelligence that I connected with mentally, I really don't have any words to describe other than, and I don't know exactly what this means, but I felt that if I'd have stayed connected to that higher intelligence mentally much longer, I would have lost my identity. So that's when I kind of pulled away from that. And I did talk to my father later, and he had an experience where he was walking on the railroad tracks with another young boy, and a metallic disc flew up over his head, maybe 20 feet above his head, and just hovered there for a while. So I think this thing is generational, whatever it's all about. So that experience just went into my memory banks, and I really didn't pursue it at all. I had a whole series of other sightings at other points in my life, and I don't know if we want to waste time talking about those tonight, maybe some other time, but some of them are quite interesting. But I think it was 2007, 2008, I saw Dr. Stephen Greer's Disclosure video, and I don't know if you've ever seen that. but everyone should watch that video.
I think you might have heard me earlier say that I avoid everybody's stuff so that I don't parrot everyone's message.
Uh-huh.
And he certainly falls into that category.
Well, I watched that video, and it changed my life. I realized then that everything I thought I knew was wrong. Everything I thought I knew was a lie. And then I started to read everything I could get my hands on, and I had a bookshelf built down here in my basement. It covers pretty much one whole wall. I don't know how many books on this field. I think it's around 60 or 70 books I've read in the past couple of years studying this. And I don't know, I decided, I think it was in 2010, that I had to do something. I had to start speaking out. So that's when I started my Blog Talk Radio show, and I joined Revolution Radio. I guess it's been 6 or 7 months ago, but
okay. Well, when I came on your show, you were on the Blog Talk. Is that right?
Exactly. I was still on the Blog Talk, and I think what I've learned in the past 2 years has been the most important information that I could share with your listeners. And I don't know how you have the evening planned out, but we'll have to see. But I can go on a roll.
I don't plan anything, Mark. Very little.
Well, can I start, and then you can interrupt me wherever you like?
Oh, thank you for letting me interrupt you. Sure, go ahead.
No, feel free to stop me, or I'll just roll with it. Okay. Right. I want to start in chronologically. I'll go back to 1995, and this is where my research has led me. This may not resonate with you totally. It may not resonate with a lot of people, but in 1995, the Pleiadians left the Earth, and they revealed their true identity as the Plejaren. They don't live in our Pleiades. They live about 80 light years beyond our Pleiades in a different space-time configuration. Between about 1975 and 1986, there were 2,862 extraterrestrial humans on the Earth from 12 different races, and they resided in 3 bases, one in Asia, one in North America, and one in Switzerland. The one in Switzerland has been here for something like 350 years. The people that were here were from the Lyra Vega star system, from the Dow universe, and from nearby stars. And I would just guess some of those stars might be the Barnard star, Alpha Centauri, Proxima Centauri, Beta Centauri. Those were the major contact years from 75 to 86. Now, I've been focused on the experiences. I'm a researcher. I've been focused on the experiences of a one-armed farmer from Switzerland who's 76 years old now. And he's had extraterrestrial contacts for the last 70 years, starting back when he was a 5-year-old boy. He would get these telepathic messages to go out into the forest near his home in Bulak, Switzerland, close by. He grew up in Niederflachs, which is very near Bulak. He would get these telepathic messages. He would go off into the woods, and out of the sky would come a silvery pear-shaped craft, which would sit down there in the field. And out of this craft would step a 1,000-year-old extraterrestrial human man named Svath. And Svath was Billy's first teacher. Svath would often walk over to where Billy was sitting in the forest, reach out his hand, take the young boy over to the ship, and they would sit inside the ship and talk. One of the things that Svath told Edward is that he has had previous lives on the earth, and that his spirit was brought here. and that in previous incarnations he had been Enoch, Elijah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Emmanuel, and Muhammad, and that he had taught an ancient universal teaching called the teaching of the Spirit.
I got to ask, Mark, is this
Sure.
all out of the message from the Pleiades?
All this information I've pulled together from a whole lot of different sources, one of which is the Future of Mankind site, and I don't know if you've seen that or not. It's put together by, the guy's name is James Moore. He's from England, and he's published pretty much all of the contact notes that Billy's had, the contacts with Semyase, the contacts with Sfoth, and the contacts with Asket.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also pulled a lot of this information from Randy Winter's book, The Pleiadian Mission, as well as there's another great book by Guido Musburger called And Still They Fly. So anyway, this is kind of where my research, everyone has their niche. This seems to be my niche.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to eat up all of your time, and I don't even know if this resonates with you, but this is kind of, at least my Sunday show, my blog talk show on Sunday, which is 8 p.m. Eastern, is dedicated to this information, and that's pretty much what I go through. I think it's a very important message for the Earth, particularly right now, particularly the information regarding creation, because the Plejaren, they don't use the term God, they use the term creation, and they see the creator of the universe as a universal consciousness. They tell us it's a spirit in the truest sense of the word. It really is neither good nor evil, and it builds universes as a part of its own evolution. And,
oh boy, I got to stop you.
Sure.
All right, I apologize, but again, I appreciate your research, but I really want to hear what you've experienced and what you got in your own consciousness. I'm not really interested in the what has been written. Perhaps we can dwell on that. Now I don't want you to go away. We're gonna return to that, but Ben, you've actually had some similar experiences with Mark, where you've actually had some contact here just within a couple of weeks, I think, right?
Yeah, I have.
Now, we've talked about it, but why don't you just go ahead and if you could just briefly tell us when this started, and I know that you've actually seen some entities just recently. Tell us, can you describe that for us?
Yeah, the entities that I've seen, it's really kind of weird because mine is all part of the awakening as to, a lot of people are awakening right now. And my awakening started 2 years ago, and it kind of led to this point very quickly. And it's kind of weird how I got here. I actually started out getting involved in an investment, and I had a gentleman who's been involved in banks and banking and finance and money who kind of took me under his wing. And next thing you know, I started to learn about the banks and the financial system, fractional banking, how unfair it really is, how it's stacked against the people. And then it just went on and on and on. And then one day, I had to make a decision. How far down the rabbit hole do I want to go? And I was like, well, we've gone this far. I'm still here. My mind isn't blown. This is the reality. And then I call it this period of the incredible thirst for knowledge as what's really going on. I think this is where our government has got it wrong. It's not going to scare the hell out of us. It's actually going to enlighten us. And anyway, so I got to this point where if we as beings on this planet are kept in the dark and we are cut out of the loop, and now we're in that dark space where the controllers are in control and we're just going to get what we're given, kind of an attitude. What can we do to break this cycle? Because we can't war against them. They have all the bombs, the guns, and everything else. We can't go out and just vote them out because it will just come back through greed.
All right, hang on. Sorry, Ben.
Okay.
You're getting a little political there, and that's not a problem. But I before you get too far off in there, I want to go back to Mark, because basically what you've said here that's important is that your waking up experience began with this revelation of the evils of the banking industry. Now, Mark, we all go through a process, and I think we can all remember the day that we woke up. I certainly remember the day that I woke up. Would you say that was when you saw the orb outside your bedroom window? When did that happen for you?
I think I'm still in the process of waking up.
Well, we're certainly learning. Once we realize that we have to go back and relearn everything and start that research process, that's when it all begins. But when would you say that you stopped being just an ignorant TV watcher and became somebody who is trying to discover the truth?
I think when I watched Stephen Greer's disclosure video, that's if I could put a finger on one thing, that seemed to wake me up from my slumber.
All right. Well, that's good. That's fair. All right, Ben. Ben, I want to focus on your actual experience. Okay. I mean, the political side and the message and what we have to do, we can certainly get into that. That's the philosophy and the politics. Let's talk about the actual what you saw.
Okay, so that's what led me up to that point where I made the decision to, on my own, make contact. And I came up with a little device, kind of like, it was a light, actually. And I heard about, people doing this before, taking light and shining it up to the sky, whether it be lasers or flashlights or something. But I decided to use the light to send a message. And since they were communicating with us through the crop circles using a binary code, then I would use a binary code in my light to send a message. And I got an immediate response.
Which was what? What was the response?
Well, I pointed this light towards these strobing stars, and I'd heard from watching people like George Green that the strobing stars are actually the spacecraft. And so I point the light towards that, I plug it in, and there was a moment where the craft stopped strobing, and then all of a sudden it just powered up. It got 1,000 times brighter. And then it started to move in a geometric shape, and they move either in a triangle or they'll move in a square. Mm-hmm. It's really small, but you can definitely make it out that it's moving. That not only did it power up and there's a light source, but it started to move. And then right after that, we're talking within a few days, I started to get the feeling that I wasn't alone. I would start to catch things like, you start to say things to yourself like, did I really just see that? Are there a group of small, children outside the window? What's going on? And you actually see, a small body and what looks like a kid in blue spandex. And I wasn't able to, really see the head or anything, but I definitely saw the body. And so, you start having instances like that. And then the silver probes, the little small probes that they look like they're about the size of a basketball. And then they're silver, but they can also go to black. I see them all over the YouTube stuff whenever I look at UFO stuff. But they communicate with those. And I saw one, and there were some people out in the parking lot, and I was wanting to call attention to it because it was the first one I had ever seen, and I was kind of excited about it, and I wanted to, get other people to, verify my story, And I got a message from it through a flash of light. There was a flash of light that flashed from this and over my head at the same time, and it was definitely focused in on the pineal gland. I'm a very spiritual person. I do a lot of prayer and meditation, and the message was just for you. So it was right after that I got full disclosure in a very big way, where they showed me that they were there, that they are real. And basically I was walking to the end of the street to grab my lunch, and I was walking back when I see the silver probe going off into the distance, and then I see this craft it decloaks, and for like 2.5 seconds it's flying forward, and then it recloaks, and you can't see it at all.
And what did it look like? What kind of shape was it?
Oh God, it was not a saucer.
Was it a
not
triangle?
saucer. No, it wasn't a triangle either. It was a completely different craft. But I did end up seeing through one of these YouTube videos that was taken down on somebody had leaked something from NASA, and I did see a picture of it on one of those YouTube videos. And I can't find the YouTube video at all, but it was there, and it was I drew a picture of it. But I guess the best way to describe it was, if you had, it was actually kind of long, but it almost looked like, almost like kind of like something that you would see that was like from a sci-fi movie or very futuristic.
Kind of abstract.
You know how they like, it was kind of an abstract, but also very mechanical looking.
Okay. Now, didn't you say that you had some actual contact with some other entities? I mean, this was really, it stepped up quite a bit for you, didn't it?
Yeah, because right after that, I was focusing one night on writing an email, and I'm kind of struggling because I'm dyslexic, so I'm really focusing on writing this email, and I can hear my own tone, that ringing in your ear is actually your own spirit. That's the disconnect that they teach us is like wrong. It's like, no, actually that frequency is me. So I'm sitting there and I can hear my own frequency, and I would much rather listen to that than the radio or TV. Then I'm typing away, and then all of a sudden I hear another one, and something was just like, they're here. And I sprung up out of my chair and went running outside, and right around the corner where my office window was, I can see very clearly a cloaked being. And have you ever seen the movie Predator, where all of a sudden he's up in the trees and then he moves a little bit and you're like, oh my God, he's right there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was definitely a person standing there that was cloaked, and I could tell that I had just scared the hell out of this being, because not only could I see it, I recognized it, and I knew exactly kind of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my first conversation with an ET, and it was like, I know that there is a policy in place where you cannot decloak in front of me. I know that you are not allowed to be in contact with me, but coming from me to you, I am very honored that you are here, that you got my message, and that you came.
Mm-hmm. All right,
and
then you had
it was kind of mind blowing. And there was actually 2 of them, and then after that, I have they have left some handprints for me, and their handprints are very different. They do have 5 fingers, but the palm is split. The fingers are very long, but the thumb is about half of our thumb. It's very,
so it's kind of reptilian.
I wouldn't. No, actually, I wouldn't say that at all. I would say something more like like actually after that, I started researching everything that has hands, and I actually when I started to go into the primates, that's when I got really close. And the closest that I can come to is a rhesus monkey, but this was the size of an adult human hand. And then the ring finger is actually the tip of its bulbous.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But every time they've shown up, they've been very, very respectful. I had another experience where I was, this is going to be like one of those dreaming encounters where I had a dream that I had contact with an ET, which means I had contact with an ET. And I've always had this fear of people with disabilities or crippled, and one of my biggest thoughts was if I were to meet a benevolent ET that doesn't look like us, I was afraid that I was going to be afraid of them, and I had a big problem with it, and so I just didn't want to offend another race or another species of human or whatever you want to call it, and you know, I would feel really bad because I know that their intent is good.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to offend them because I was afraid of them. So I had this dream where I was laying on my side and I roll over and I see this face that is a very different face. As a matter of fact, it didn't look like any of the ET stuff that you've ever seen on YouTube at all. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. But the eyes were beautiful, and they were big, and they were blue, and they kind of instead of like having that almond shape that kind of went up and out, this had kind of a different shape that was down and almost didn't look sad, but you know, if you could kind of have like that kind of melancholy kind of eye.
More round than almond?
Yeah, definitely more round than almond. And then the face kind of like came down almost like the snout of a dog or something, or kind of like a horse kind of a thing, or maybe a cow or something.
That is kind of bizarre.
And I kind of remember saying to myself, like, I'm okay with this. And as soon as I said I was okay with it, I had rolled back over it, then felt a hand on my shoulder push me forward. A hand slid underneath me. And then I felt myself being picked up. And then I had opened my eyes in the dream, and I was being handed off to another set of arms that were coming down through the ceiling. And then I was literally, lifted through the ceiling, through the roof of the house, and the next thing you know, I was on the floor inside of the ship.
Hang on, Ben. Don't
Yeah.
don't lose that point. Before you go too much further, I need to ask Mark. Mark, when you were a kid and you were in bed and you were talking to your father about this, and it seemed like you were having a missing time experience. It sounds to me like you were abducted. Would you say that's probably what happened?
Steve, I don't know, to tell you the truth. I probably need to be regressed or something. I've talked to Mary Rodwell a little bit about this, but I don't know. I didn't get the impression that the intelligence on that ship was negative, but I got the impression that it was so much higher than mine that it would have been very terrifying for me.
Well, but I guess what's important for both of you guys, and this is kind of something that I have to ask anybody that's had an experience like this, is do you feel like this was done against your will?
Oh, no, not at all. I purposely wanted to make that contact. I don't have any negative feelings toward extraterrestrial life at all. In fact, I think that's what the government wants us to do. They want us to fear ET. They started out with us fighting the communists. Now we're fighting the terrorists. And shortly we're going to be afraid of the asteroids. And after that, as von Braun said, we'll be fighting this hoaxed alien invasion, which will be the next bit of manipulation that they put us under. And that's how they'll bring this tyranny down. In my opinion, anyway.
All right. Well, there's a couple things that I need to reiterate here, and this, of course, is my belief, and that is, and I think this coincides a little bit with your experience with the Pleiadians, and that is that the service to self entities are the ones that are doing the abducting, or the ones that are doing the interacting with the Earth humans, and very rarely do you ever see a STO, a service to other entities such as the Pleiadians, interacting with humans. Billy Meyer was a very rare situation. So, keeping that in mind, when we talk about alien invasions, the ones that are here, the aliens are here, the reptoids are here, the little gray guys are here. They've been here for a long time. They've probably been here a lot longer than the modern Earth humans. And the ones that are coming are the ones that are basically going to be removing those entities once and for all, finally. So certainly they want us to fear what's coming, but we should, the way I see it, we should actually be looking forward to it. And of course, we have to be careful that we're not going to be welcoming phony messiahs and Nazis pretending to be Pleiadians and flying man-made Schauberger type craft. So yeah, even the Pleiadians we have to kind of take with a grain of salt. But I just want to get that out there. Ben, I need to get back to
definitely.
you. Let you. Now, Ben, it seems to me, I know that you had a lot of talking and interaction with these people, and I know that you had a message, and I think it was having to do with teaching people how to communicate, especially with this binary light strobe that you were using. But it seemed to me that you had said something to the effect of that they would actually told you that you need to contact me.
Yes, I was told specifically to contact you. Can
you tell us about that?
People, well, actually, there were 2 other people that I was told to contact before you, and then I was told to contact you.
Oh, just out of curiosity, who were the other 2?
Stephen Greer was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who else? Carrie Cassidy?
Actually, she was one of them too. Yeah, and then I think it's kind of surprising that she was on your show.
Nothing is a surprise.
And then I'm like, this is kind of weird, but
Yeah.
But all of my experiences have been very positive, and nothing has been done against my will. As a matter of fact, I've actually seen where the ETs that I've been in contact with have actually stepped in and protected me from dark entities.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. You described the little childlike ones. I think for what you've described, I would refer to those as the EBTs. They actually may be cloned, created here on Earth. You had some larger ones that you were dealing with too, weren't you?
Yeah, they were quite a bit larger. I got the feeling that they were adult, and these were the ones that I actually saw that were cloaked. They definitely had weight to them. I could see physically their weight. I also have this, I'm hypersensitive spiritually, so I can see auras and everything, and I could know that they could kind of read my mind a little bit. So I was kind of chuckling to myself that, even though you're cloaked, I can still see you because I can see your aura. I kind of found that a little bit amusing, that yes, you're cloaked, but I can still see you even though you're cloaked because I can see your aura. And then I found another thing that was really interesting is that whenever I do readings, I actually see the spiritual side making contact with other beings, and I actually saw this being making contact with the spirit, and I saw its guides, and that was different. That was really different. So I knew that they're very involved in spirit as well. Mm-hmm. They're just like us.
Well, that's great, and we're going to get into that. I want to, the metaphysical aspects and what if you've had any gifts or anything that's changed for you. But I got to ask Mark a question here, and I see he's typing something in for me, and it's taking a long time, and I can't wait. I got to ask you this question, Mark, you've been doing this show now for what, 2 years? Was it roughly?
Yeah,
now,
something like that. Yeah.
Now you've had to have some pretty interesting guests. I mean, besides me, what was there anybody that sticks out in your memory that you had on your show that was really important, that had a really important message?
Well, to me, the most important guest I probably have had would be Michael Horn, and that's because he focuses on the Meyer material, which I think is probably the most important information for the people of Earth right now, at least the spiritual teachings for certain. The other lady that I had was very interesting. was the wife of Dr. Frank Stranges. And I don't know if you've ever read the book Stranger in the Pentagon.
Mm-mm.
It's a very interesting story. Dr. Stranges, he was a U.S. Marshal, he was a Ph.D., and he was also a preacher. I think he might have been Baptist. I don't know what particular denomination he was. But he had contact, and he met a lady at one of his conferences that told him, and I wish I had the book in front of me, that at the Pentagon there was a man from another world there, and that this man wanted to meet Dr. Stranges. So he tells this absolutely fascinating story about this lady sneaking him into the Pentagon at that time. The security is nothing like it is now. And they got in, and he met this extraterrestrial human who called himself Val Thor, which is it's just a fascinating story. The book is called Stranger at the Pentagon, and that story was just absolutely amazing. My personal view on this is probably different than a lot of people. See, I think there are 7.5 million human civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy, and that there are 7 different evolutionary steps that human societies go through. Now, the Plejaren told Billy that we're still in stage 2, and they see us as a rational society, but not yet into the 3rd stage, which is intelligent life. And they tell us that real life for human beings starts in stage 4. And that's where we learn certain technologies like hyperspace travel, where we're able to travel from star to star with almost no time passing. And then we start to learn genetic engineering. And you probably know this, Stephen, from your research. Within Semyase's ship was an organic intelligence that she had telepathic contact with. So although her ship had a metal hull, it was a living being. It was sentient. It had its own intelligence. And at stage 4 in human life, we start to develop sentient beings. We literally do these amazing things. Now, what's really interesting, in the 5th evolutionary stage, some people rise to what they call the King of Wisdom or the Ishwish. And not only do we amass lots of wisdom, but we master what they call the almost limitless powers of the human spirit, and that we can do telepathy, telekinesis, levitation, look into the future, look into the past. So it's just real interesting also how this jives with some of the things that the man most people call Jesus said when he was here on the earth. And he said in John, I think it was chapter 14, he said, "Is it not written in your law that you are all gods?" And he also said later, "Greater things will you do than I have done." Well, nobody that was listening to him at the time did greater things than he did. So what was he talking about? Perhaps he knew that they would have later lives at higher levels of evolution where they would do these incredible feats, like levitation, looking into the future, looking into the past. So anyway, I guess that was a long-winded answer.
Well, I want to, I appreciate that answer, and I really like the comment that you made just now about the biblical verse. I use that verse actually quite a bit in my Reiki training because, when you're doing energy healing, there's so many people out there in the Christian community that think that this is satanic and evil and you're not supposed to be doing that and what have you. But it says right there in the Bible that yes, we will do. In fact, I've got the complete verse here very close to me, I'm sure somewhere, but essentially it says, yes, you will do greater things because I won't be here. And when we talk about what that means, healing is a very important thing. And Ben, that was kind of what I wanted to use that as a segue to go back to you because this is one of the things, when you talk about spiritual growth and psychic power, that the ability to heal and move energy is one of those gifts. And I was kind of curious about that and how you've been affected. We've only got about 2 minutes now before break, so I can't really turn you loose. I think I'm going to use this opportunity real quick to conduct some station business before we continue the show. And I want to remind everybody to call in. We're going to be, when we come back from break, we're going to be opening up the phone lines. The phone number is 347-688-2902. And if you'd like to Skype in and join us on Skype, it's Freedom Screen, one word. And I also want to remind everybody to, if you're not in the chat room, that you might want to look into it. We have a very, very active chat room and a very active chat community. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool people in there, and that's a great way to meet the hosts and to also submit questions to us here on the show. I also want to remind people that they can watch all of my videos on YouTube and what have you if they Google my name, Stephen D. Kelley, Kelley. And let's see what else. Mark has a show. Again, I want to remind everybody. What day is your show, Mark?
Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern in Studio B.
All right.
Ohio Exopolitics.
Yeah. So you want to tune in and enjoy Mark's show. And again, I want to thank him for being with us. Okay, break time, everybody. Stick with us, and we'll be right back.
Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message. The finder of lost children and missing persons. Surveillance, civil and criminal investigations. I investigate.
No, I am the chosen one.
Receive the power of good and do not dismiss the strength of the child. Yes, every Wednesday evening on Revolution Radio, come join our very own Eye Investigatrix, Monique Lasan, with her Private Eye X-Files.
So you're the finder of lost children.
Private Eye X-Files, every Wednesday from 7 to midnight Eastern, Studio B on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
I realize it's very hard for you to take in. But it's your destiny to find the golden child.
Listen in to Journeys with JP, Tuesdays on Revolution Radio at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. With a variety of guests, each giving a unique perspective on their journey through to the now. Journeys offers you, the listener, a chance to share that perspective. Join me, JP, on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio, simulcast with Wolf Spirit Radio.
Every Tuesday evening on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, we present our goddess spiritual warrior, Kathy Bilski.
I command. I call to the architect of the universe's divine creators and ask for permission to quantum leap the world in all life forms on all planes and dimensions, seen and unseen, connected with planet Earth, to let us go beyond our known potential into the greatest unknown golden age that universes and worlds and all planets have ever experienced.
Kathy teaches the spiritual truth so that you may create a better life and be able to make positive changes for yourself and for the planet. She helps us remember that we are not powerless, but very creative spiritual beings having an Earth experience. Time to quantum leap into the age of divine enlightenment and let Kathy provide you with the tools of knowledge you need to awaken spiritually. That's the Quantum Leap Show. Let Light Unite every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio, Studio B.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host is Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic element,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Maggie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you there.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need lips, that's us. We're already here.
What are we supposed to do?
I'm going to fight because I'm used to it. The rest of you are going to have a tougher choice. But look, I don't want to sell it to you. It's too ugly for that. That's ugly and it's hard. But when you're fighting in your own backyard, you're fighting for your family. It all hurts a little less and it makes a little more sense. But for us, this is our home. Even the Chinese flea can drive your big dog crazy. So the first thing we have to do is learn how to work together. Become a unit. And that's going to take some time. So we're going to have to evolve. Rewire our reflexes. Learn new skills and adapt old ones. So we'll find people we can trust. Friends with their ears to the ground who can help us get the things we need to fight back. Watch what they do. Study their tactics and let you know. The more we know, the easier it will be to hurt them. But we need to be smart, and we need to be patient. Just hit them on our terms. When we're good and ready. We inherited our freedom. Now it's up to all of us to fight for it. Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, where the fight begins and information never sleeps. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Okay. I have to talk to make the music stop. All right, you guys, thank you for your patience. Thank you for sticking around with us, and hopefully you guys have I didn't chase you off with my rant earlier. Before I get back to the show, there's one thing I want to share with you guys real quick. I want to give a quickie commercial, not a commercial, but a little shout out to somebody that helped me out here. My computer died, not my laptop that I've been using, but my big desktop. And, every time I get it seems like the NSA, they like to backdoor me every time they get mad at me and they kill my computer. This is like the second time they've done it. But my buddy, Alex Chavez, has fixed it, and he has a company out here in Orange County. It's called Computer Surgeons of Orange County. And he put a new motherboard, a new CPU, new memory, all kinds of adapters. I mean, it's a much better than what I had in there, and he didn't charge me. So, I really appreciate that, and I know everybody that's listening, you guys are around the world, but he is on Facebook. You can find him there, and he can do remote work also, but he does really good work, and if you need some help, look him up. That was Alex Chavez. Okay, so there are a few questions coming in from Skype, or not Skype, but the chat room, and I want to address some of those. First of all, somebody's been asking for my email, and I want to give that out to you again here real quick. It's LAW17GUN at law17.com. Or at AOL.com. That's law17gun at AOL.com. And that's a good way to get a hold of my book. If you'd like to get a hold of my book and you want to hear about my experiences and why I'm doing what I do, and you'll help you to understand where I get off with some of these attitudes. Again, I want to thank my guests. They're still here with me, Mark Schneider and Benjamin Sims, and we are opening up the phone lines. So if anybody wants to join us, and I know there are people out there that want to share some of their experiences, the phone-in number is 347-688-2902, and the Skype connection is Freedom Screen, one word. Now, Mark, you're a host of a UFO program, so I would really like you to help me out, because I know you're used to talking to these people and interviewing people. I'm just kind of curious, do you have any questions for Ben that you'd like to ask?
Benjamin, would you say that the beings that you've had contact with, would you define them as being benevolent?
Oh, most definitely. All of the contact that I've had, and whenever I have any kind of contact, the first thing I do whenever I realize that there is a presence there is, number one, ask my guides if they're benevolent or not. And if they're not benevolent, they are shut down immediately. They can't even come close to me. And I go through a whole protection thing to wrap protection around me. And I actually I see the unfolding of the love around me, the love light, the pure white light, and whenever that happens, nothing can come close.
Have you seen them face to face in 3D reality, or are these telepathic?
I have seen them in 3D reality in glimpses, like with the childlike. But I also have seen them in kind of a state that is of a higher vibration. Like if you've ever seen like a toy or something like that has a vibrator, and whenever it's vibrating really fast, you kind of see it kind of get blurry. I have seen that. But then I've also felt my vibration climbing, and I've had a few experiences where in meditation, I've seen some amazing things like plasma streaks going around the room that I know are entities. They're fully conscious. I've seen other kind of weird things where the walls almost become translucent, like there's nothing around me, like the walls don't even exist. I've experienced some very different things since I've had contact.
Go ahead, Steve. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, Mark, you're doing great. But I just remembered that I wanted to get back to that question I was going to ask Ben right before the break, and that was about your abilities. If you picked up any skills, say like healing or ability to move energy and things like this, what do you think has really changed about you?
Kind of like that sixth sense. I'm very hyper aware now. I realize different energies now whenever I'm around people. I know people's intent when they come up to me, which is really kind of different. I know what they want from me before we even meet.
So you're becoming more psychic.
Yeah. Very much more psychic. Yeah. The energy healing, I've been doing that for several years. That's gotten a little bit different, not as much as what I would like. I would actually like that ability to be a little bit stronger, but the pineal gland has opened up greatly. Flashes of light, full-scale light beings with faces now, when before I would only see a flash of light. I'm seeing giant light beings as tall as skyscrapers in pure white light. I can honestly say I'm not afraid of any of this crap that this Illuminati cabal is trying to throw at us at all, because I know that they're here now. As a matter of fact, it was I asked the ETs if I could have permission to bring a communication or a way to communicate forward, and I would not go forward out of respect until I had permission. I was told that I could as soon as I saw the large white beings, and meaning the white light beings. And as soon as I saw them, I couldn't believe it. As a matter of fact, for an entire day and a half, I was just kind of shaking my head. This is enormous, as tall as the clouds, and I was blown away by this. So they really had to kind of stand there in front of me and they would show themselves to me several times. If I'm driving down the street, they would be standing right next to a building just so I could see the scale of the being. I'm a large white being. You now have permission to move forward.
Well, Ben, I've got to ask Mark now. Mark, since you've had your experiences, obviously a long time ago, but do you feel like it's made you more psychic? I mean, aside from being more aware, do you feel like you got any skills out of this?
One thing that Benjamin said that I wanted to kind of ask him about, and it's related to what you're asking, Steve, is he was talking about meditation, and I meditated about an hour and a half before the show. I wanted to ask Benjamin, do you lose track of time when you meditate?
Yes, I do. And then there's times where I can actually feel a presence, like trying to help me get deeper into the meditation, where you sink down lower to receive the answer. It's almost like falling asleep, like that level.
Yes.
And then trying to help me bring kind of like raise consciousness again, or come back up to ask another question. And it's really kind of weird because I've never, it's almost like bobbing in a pond where you're just going up and down, asking the question and then going down and receiving the answer and coming back up. And it's a very beautiful, calming experience.
You're bringing up something, Benjamin, that I want to expound on just briefly, if you'll indulge me, and that is this whole business with asking questions. People, they talk about, they see these entities, or they come in contact with angels or channelers or whatever energies, vortexes, what have you. And I've had people ask me, it's like, gee, how do we get information? How do we learn from these entities? It's, again, very simple. You got to ask a question. So they will talk to you.
They will. And when they're around me, there's an energy that just kind of takes over, and I feel like I'm a little kid that's just, like 6 years old, that just wants to know everything. And I ask all these questions. When I was on the ship, I was asking questions like, where do you sleep? Where are you at? Can I look out the window? And, I was expecting to look out the window and actually, look down on the earth and see it, how beautiful it was, and a big blue ball, and, that kind of a thing. And finally, after asking about, 5 or 6 times, can I look out the window? They're like, yes, you can look out the window. And I went over and I looked out the window, and I was 5 feet above my house. But, that I look at as a very benevolent experience. They weren't trying to take me away from my home. They would have never taken me on board unless I gave permission, which I gave permission, and then they picked me up out of the bed. And then when I was on board the ship, there was no table, there was no bright light. I never, ever felt like I was trapped, ever. And here was this being that literally was kind of sitting there, and it was such a weird perspective because I got to see myself from their perspective.
Mm.
And that was kind of bizarre because I'm asking the question and seeing myself asking the question.
Okay.
It was really kind of a cool, bizarre experience. And, shortly thereafter, the dream kind of comes to a close, and then I'm in my bed. And, the next morning I'm like, I had a dream. And then come to find out, for many people who have been abducted, there's the dream scenario where they were actually gone and missing time. But I actually found a face on YouTube that is almost, not exactly, but very similar to what I saw. I would say would be in the same kind of family. And it's on a YouTube video, and it's kind of like, I think it's called like Benevolent ETs or Benevolent Extraterrestrials, and of Alex Collier, and you kind of see the face that I kind of described.
Mm.
It kind of blew my mind because I'd never seen it before in my life.
Ben, I want to jump right into this binary code, this because it seemed to me that this whole business with shining a light at these entities was kind of a major part of your message. And I know when we were talking, I was trying to tell you, well, we can use our brains to do the same thing. But do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I know that sounded like something that you really wanted to share with everybody.
Yeah, that was actually why they wanted me to come to you. Because that's by doing this, it would get the message out, and then it would actually help people to then contact them. And they're waiting to come down here, but they can't because there's all the mess with the treaties and our government and so on and so forth, and they're trying to create that illusion that they're out to get us and that whole big thing. And if
so
you
the
can
good
imagine,
guys, the good guys don't do anything without permission.
Literally, they won't. They won't.
Okay. So tell us
They
about
just
this
won't.
code and the technique. Tell us exactly what we're supposed to do.
Okay. Well, I have a very creative background, and in my background, I had some theatrical experience. So I had some theater light and stage design experience, and so I have some theatrical lighting that has lenses in them. It's kind of like a Leica, is what it is. Mm-hmm. Some people that know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's a lighting instrument that throws light a very far distance.
It's a pin spot.
Focus. Kind of, but a pin spot doesn't really have the lenses that you need to be able to bring an image in really clear.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought was, they're spraying this stuff in the skies that's aluminum and barium, and as soon as I found out what barium was and that it was used for holograms and all kinds of other nasty stuff, I went, oh my God, they're giving me the perfect screen in the sky to project a message onto. I was just like, oh my God, it was like this white light experience. And so, and of course they're following the sun and they're spraying and all that other kinds of stuff. By the time it gets dark, it's down far enough that it projects very nicely, I found. Anyway, so you take, in theater we call these pieces of metal a gobo. And basically a gobo is a piece of metal with a pattern stamped into it. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I found a binary code generator just using Google, typed in a message. My message was, please help us. That was my message that I sent. That was the first one. And I stamped that in. And what I did was for the ones, I used a razor blade. And for the zeros, I just used a pin. And I took just a pop can and cut it and then measured it so that it would fit in there and kind of did some experimenting so that my message wasn't being projected backwards or upside down and, that kind of stuff. Projected it on the wall and got it to a point that it would throw in a very far distance. And then took it outside and looked for those strobing stars, the spaceships. And then I was making that conscious contact with my higher power saying, okay, can I contact them? Are they okay? And, when I got the okay, I turned on the light, and then I got that immediate response. They stopped strobing. They powered up, got super bright. They moved in a geometric pattern. It was actually really awesome. And then what was weird right after that, within about 20 minutes, because then I get on the phone and I'm starting to call people, oh my God, you won't believe this. And I'm describing what I did and what's going on. And that whole thing. I saw a Cessna plane with a searchlight starting to fly my direction.
Uh-huh.
Now
they
I
do
have
that.
friends. I know, and I have friends in the FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, and I'm like, who do you think I was calling?
Okay, listen.
Because I want to know what I just made contact
Benjamin,
with.
I've got a homework assignment for you. All right?
Yes.
You go get yourself a video camera and you make a video showing exactly what you did with the light and exactly how you created your little filter. Because I was mistaken. I thought that you had actually created some sort of digital modulation program where you're actually creating a visible screen, if you will, almost like a Batman signal up to the sky. So this is what you've just described to us is very conducive to creating a video. And if anything, I would like to see you show us the pattern that you created. Yes, Mark, you could take a break. Go ahead. And film that. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sitting here talking to these guys when they're typing to me. Hey, listen, before we go too far, hang on to that, Ben. And Mark, go ahead and take your break, and please come back soon. Don't go away. I want to try to answer a couple questions real quick for some people in chat. You guys have been very patient waiting for me to do this. One person in particular, Esoteric Truth, was asking about they have the ability to see energy coming from off of the sun, and it seems to come out like ripples from a pond when you throw a stone in water, and there's the sun actually pulsating. And I would suggest to you, to the Esoteric Truth questioner there, that this energy that you're seeing is actually information. Yes, it is energy. That is how information is given. All mass transmits this information. So any information coming from the center of the galaxy, i.e. source, is basically transmitted instantaneously from every body of mass. So, for instance, when we think of this energy traveling from the center of the galaxy and hitting everything, it's instantaneous. And all mass basically acts as a transmitter for this signal. So yes. Oh, Mark's back. Thank you, Mark. Okay, so anyway, I hope that helped to answer that question a little bit, but that would be a scalar issue. And I think there was a couple other questions, but maybe the people in chat could go ahead and try to ask those again. And let's see. Is it true that when your ears ring on the left, it's man-made, and frequency on your right, it's natural? You know, a lot of people have different theories. I used to think that when your ears were ringing, that was some entity trying to talk to you and tell you to pay attention to something that's going on because that's an important lesson. Other people have suggested that that's actually a download in progress or a upgrade or upload, so to speak. And I know you guys both have opinions about that. I'm sure, Ben, you were just talking about that. I don't know, Mark, you want to offer any answers to that for that question?
The one thing I still wanted to get back to Benjamin about is meditation, because I think that is just such a healthy practice for people to do. It rejuvenates your body, it clears your mind. And one of the big problems I think we have here on the earth is what I call runaway thoughts, where we're kind of obsessing on some issue and we can't seem to turn that off. And if we can develop that meditation concentration and learn to clear our minds and really relax, I think it's a huge help to our health. Benjamin, have you noticed any of that in your meditations where you can feel so rejuvenated after a deep meditation?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Sometimes it's better than actually sleeping for 8 hours.
It is. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And kind of touching on what you had just said, as soon as I found out that the Illuminati had started, they were putting signals into TV, and they were using that to be addictive and all this other kinds of, mean, evil, wickedness stuff. As soon as I turned off the TV, and kind of stopped listening to music, I wasn't having those runaway thoughts anymore. As a matter of fact, I would sit there and catch myself just not thinking about anything, just enjoying the moment. It was really wonderful.
We've pretty much stopped watching TV in my household as well. Have you stopped completely?
There's only like one or two things that I will watch, but it not even all the time. It's just kind of in passing. If for some reason, I hate that they do this now. I wish they would stop putting TVs in restaurants. I'm starting to get very annoyed. I've actually started to go in and ask them that they turn them off.
Good for
Can
you.
you please just turn that off? I'm here to eat with the company that we came into,
Yeah, they're trying to turn all these restaurants into sports bars.
Yeah, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Have you guys noticed the young couples now, they go out on a date and they don't even talk to each other? They're playing on their cell phones?
Yeah, it's
what's up with that? That's twisted, man.
Talk about zombies, huh?
Oh, my Lord. And I think that's what the elite want to do.
It's not just the young people. They all do it. Everybody does it. All the phone users do it. Whole families. I see whole families doing it. And then the children will come in with these, not the laptops, but the notebooks, and they'll be sitting there playing games during the meal or something like that. It's crazy.
Have you guys studied this transhumanism movement at all? This Ray Kurzweil guy, he's working with Google, and they're developing these Google glasses where you're going to be able to search the internet by wearing these little glasses, and you can see the screen right on your lens, and it's activated, I guess, by thought. It's crazy.
That actually starts going into it's starting to go into more hologram, and actually we were supposed to be at this point using holograms a long time ago. I mean, if you think back to the 80s, they had developed some technology with video games where they had holograms, and then they come out, they started to use them, and then they pulled it away.
I gotta stop you right there, because my entry into the electro-optics field was with Newport Research Corp, and they were basically the leaders in holography technology. And when people start talking about holograms, I have to jump in there, because it's not a hologram, it's a holographic projection.
Right.
What's the difference?
A hologram is film.
Oh.
An image that a holographic image that you're looking at is a holographic projection. So we have to, there's a big difference. I mean, if you look at a film, like they have on your credit cards and stuff, that's a hologram. Okay, but when we talk about holographic projections, that's what those are. And I have to tell you about a little bit about holographic projections. First of all, the reason why we don't have it is because the military controls it. It's just like anything else. They are using these things now in the jets, of course, and the navigation systems are using this technology. But the thing that people need to understand about a holographic projection system is that it requires an extremely stable platform to project the image, because it's essentially two images projected by laser combining to create this image. And when we would do this in the lab, we would use special vibration isolation tables to do this. And this is why a platform out in space is so conducive to producing large-scale holographic projections. So when we talk about Project Bluebeam and stuff like that, that will be a spaceborne platform doing that projection. And that's why we're not going to be seeing any of these things in public, because they don't want the people to get used to understanding what this is, so that when they use it to program us, we're going to fall for it.
Boy, you said the key
right,
word
and that's what my point was, is that it was there and then it went away. It went away so fast. But our minds are supposed to be at a point now where we stop thinking so two-dimensional and we start thinking, multi-dimensional, and we go past the third dimension and we start going into more of a spiritual sense. Because when you get into the spirit, that's when you're able to really go there, and there are no boundaries. Thought takes you, if you want to go to another universe, just think it, you're there. It happens. And it's instantaneous.
That's true. There's something else I wanted to say. You guys were both, when you were talking about meditation, the Buddhists have a philosophy, and one of the things that they say is that which makes you calm is good. So yes, it's all about achieving this level of calm. And in other words, no matter what it takes to get you to that place of calm, it's beneficial, because that level of calmness is what allows you to open your mind and expand and to learn and to be able to receive this information that's constantly flowing at us. And one of the things that they were saying is, if alcohol makes you calm, it's not bad. If smoking a cigarette makes you calm, it's not bad. If smoking pot makes you calm, whatever it is that makes you calm, if it makes you calm, and that's what you have to do to get calm, then that's a good thing. It's the benefits outweigh the negatives.
You know, Benjamin, what you said about meditation sometimes being better than 8 hours sleep, I've experienced that before. It's just really incredible. If you get in a deep meditation for an hour and a half, 2 hours, it'll feel better than 8 hours sleep. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is, and it's not just that, but it's also the energy that you're pulling in, because you actually open yourself up to the prana. And whenever you're doing that, you are literally getting that life force energy, you know, from the universe coming into your body. And then, you know, of course you're still in meditation, you're not moving, but the energy that's coming into you is just, it's the way that it touches my spirit and my soul on such a deep level. It's pure love is what it is. It really is pure love.
Do you ever get that almost euphoric state a little bit?
Yes, many times. Many times.
Sorry, guys, I got a dirty mind.
It's almost to that point where I almost have to like lay down and like hold on to the earth, because I feel like I'm just going to float right off.
That's interesting. You know, I had the weirdest experience meditating. One time I was getting ready to fly back to Ohio. I was in Arizona, and I was in Flagstaff, and I got to the airport extremely early, like 5 a.m., and I had checked in and everything and done all that, and I sat down in this chair and went into super deep meditation. It was just awesome. And about an hour and a half later, someone ran into me. Like, literally, it was this little old lady, and she, like, bumped into me. There was no one else around. I don't know why she bumped into me. And then she sat down. She sat down right beside me, which was the weirdest thing in the world, because I didn't know who she was. And it was very uncomfortable, as a matter of fact. And her husband came over, and those two started talking. So I thought, wow, that was really a weird experience. So I walked down almost to the other end of the airport, sat in a chair where no one was around, went back to meditating. Well, next thing I know, about 20 minutes later, here is this little old lady again, and she's standing right in front of me, and she sits down right beside me again. And here comes her husband back, and I can tell they're from some other country. And he started asking me questions if I thought, you know, they could take this through the line, you know, and or if they would get in trouble. And I told him, you know, I really didn't know or whatever. But, you know, I wonder if, since I was meditating, I was putting out some kind of energy that must have attracted them. What do you think about that, Benjamin?
Well, of course you're putting out an energy that's going to attract. You're putting out life force energy, so you're putting out light, and people are always attracted to the light.
Moths to a
whether
flame.
we can see it or not with our eyes, you know, we feel it with our spirit.
I had another experience like this, and you guys are going to think I'm making this up. Sometimes at work, I'll leave it about lunchtime, and there's a little park close to work, and I'll sit in there and meditate. It's really a beautiful park, and it's like in the middle of this, you know, city area. And there was one day this summer I was sitting there meditating in the park, and I was in a real deep meditation, really peaceful. And then I looked up. I kind of opened my eyes, and there was 3 or 4 squirrels, and they're all sitting right around me there. It was the weirdest experience in the world. They eventually took off.
You were having a St. Francis moment.
I was. It was the weirdest thing. And even a little bit later, some birds, they like landed on the table that I was sitting on this, you know, picnic table, and I'm meditating. I'm like, man, this is just too weird. So, Benjamin, what you were saying about putting out that life force energy, that must be true, man. It's really amazing. Have you had any experiences like that?
I haven't had direct experiences like that, but I do notice things that are really different. Since the beginning of the year, I've seen animals becoming very emotional. I'm able to basically communicate with animals now. It's really kind of bizarre. People's pets now are kind of telling on their owners and letting me know what's going on. And another thing is really weird. I'm noticing domestic pets not just becoming very emotional, but I'll actually see them crying.
Sure.
Real tears.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's only been since the beginning of the year. And I'm wondering if that's part of our new evolution with the new vibration that's hitting the planet now, if that's all part of it. I've also been seeing a lot of videos on YouTube where deer are just walking out of the woods and walking right up to the hunters and acting almost like a dog, where they're licking them and they want to be pets.
That doesn't sound healthy for the deer. Hey, guys, real quick.
Yeah.
We're down to about 25 minutes or less. I just want to remind everybody, if you want to get in on this show and call us, please do. Now's the time before it's over. 347-688-2902. And Ben, I think, Mark, you're going to have Ben on your show, huh?
Yeah, we might do that. We can definitely talk about meditation for sure. Anyway, I could talk for 2 hours about meditation. It's so good to talk to someone that really does it, because for years and years I would listen to people say, "Oh, you need to meditate, and I thought, yeah, I need to meditate, but I just never got around to it. So finally, like in the past year and a half, I'm like, man, I am so glad I started doing this, and I wish I'd done it a lot earlier. But I wanted to get back to what you were saying about animals. And see, one of the things that's so wrong on our earth right now is that we've lost our connection with the creation. We've lost our connection with nature. And cruelty to animals is running rampant. And also the destruction of our forests. And this is a kind of insanity that makes me sometimes think that many people on the earth are actually devolving. So we have this great separation. It's just astounding to me. Let me quote something, and I'd like to get Benjamin's comment on this.
Go ahead.
Indescribable splendor of nature is nothing more than the visible expression of the love of creation. What does that bring to mind to you?
Well, that just made my heart smile. It really did. It's really kind of weird because I have this new consciousness now, and I can't go past anything laying on the ground, but like litter or trash or anything, without picking it up. I can't go out and prune back a tree so far that it's almost unhealthy. I actually feel its feelings now. I see how beautiful this planet really is, and it really breaks my heart that the people that are in control have tricked us into consuming it and destroying it the way that we are. And I know that everything's going to be okay because I've been told that it's going to be okay. This big cataclysm that everyone's expecting, it's not going to go down. It's just not going to happen. I hate to burst everyone's bubble, but, I mean, this is it. We're not going to have this, flipping of the poles. There's too many ETs that are involved. The technology is way too high. They'll blow your mind with it. They can move their motherships into place. They can slowly rotate the crust of the Earth. They have the most amazing technology and the highest regard and love for us to help us out. Do you ever think that they're going to let anything happen to us that's wrong?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Even with the scalar technology and all these like little nanobots and stuff that they're spraying and putting in the chocolate and all that other stuff.
You've been listening to my show.
I have been, yeah. But some of this I already knew about with Hershey and stuff. I mean, it's really kind of sick when you ever try to go out there and take over the water of the land like you own it. It made me laugh. But anyway, but I've already been told that they're going to put a stop to that. If they try to release those signals to enact those bots, it will be shut down and be turned off.
All right, I got to bring something up here because of what you're just talking about right now. You guys, bear with me. I had a show here. Well, I'm sure, Ben, you probably listened to the show. It was the chemtrail special, the one we were supposed to have Mr. Dr. Bill Weld on. You remember that? Did you listen to that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, if you heard the show, you'll know that I have pretty much come out publicly and said this guy is a farce. He is a con man. He is the worst of the worst. He didn't come on the show. He made no contact, and clearly he is out there to destroy our community and to cause us in the alternative media to be ridiculed. And he actually posted a thing that said that his son had just died, and he had been saying how his family was being threatened by the forces that be. And this was the guy that was talking about the so-called domestic nano quell program, which we're talking about right now with the nanobots and all that. But I got to tell you, if his son died, where's the obituary? Show me the obituary. If he's dead, then he has nothing to fear. Show us a photo of this child that allegedly has been killed or murdered. So I have no patience whatsoever for disinfo agents out there trying to make us all look like idiots. So
that's true. And kind of a part of that, I really need to chime in with something, because all of a sudden, about 10, 15 minutes ago, I did have a remote viewer check in on me, and I have to tell you something about the remote viewers. They can come in and they're doing their remote viewing, and the one thing that gives away a remote viewer is their smell.
Really?
I can smell them.
Seriously?
I can pick up on their body odor, their cologne, their aftershave, deodorant. A lot of times,
you just gave it away. You gave it away. You should have just said that. Now they're gonna stop using their cologne when they come and visit you.
It doesn't matter, because even if they a lot of times they will use a drug to get into that state where they can do the remote viewing, and then they hook them up to computers, and they go in and they shock the skin and they give them this whole thing, and all of a sudden they're projected to where they think they need to be, which they use our phone lines and our phone signals and stuff like that to find us.
Interesting.
This matrix thing really is real. And then they show up. But the big thing is that I can feel them. I'm hypersensitive to the energy. And the one thing that makes them go away is when I can look right at them.
For me, they're like shadows. Those are the phase shifters. Usually I will just detect their presence, and it might be like a shadow, or it just might be a feeling that you get.
Right. And actually, those shadow people, that's the draconian.
Yeah, I know. I was designing a laser, and I felt that they were standing over my shoulder watching me do it. It's like, what is this something special?
They wanted your knowledge.
I was doing history. I was creating history or something.
Yeah, because they're time traveling, so they know that you're doing it. And then they project themselves into where you're at, and they stand over your shoulder and watch how you do it.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's part of the whole matrix thing. Whenever I went to go send my first signal, they tried to scare the hell out of me so that I wouldn't do it. They had every dog howling in a 3-mile radius all around me, right as I walked outside with that little light.
So, Ben, are you going to make a video for us? I want to see a video of you actually doing this and shining it up in the sky. Can you do that? Can you get somebody to help you out?
I can do that, and I've already been asking permission to make this video to do this. It has to go in steps, and I have to, just like if I were to go and ask a friend if I can borrow something, I can't just go borrow it and give it to somebody else. I have to go and ask for permission to borrow it, that kind of a thing. It just comes down to being polite. And they gave me permission to come on and talk about it. And I've already asked for permission to make a video, and I've been waiting for the response back. I've been waiting for the yes. So as soon as I get that yes, I will do it. I don't have a problem doing that. But it also puts me out there in a different capacity into this community, and they will definitely be putting people into place to protect me. And as soon as that protection is in place, I know that I can go forward.
Hey, Ben,
Does
there's
that
been
make
some.
sense?
Yeah, I want to respond to that, but before I do, a couple of people have been asking for your email. Is that something you're willing to give out on the air? I would.
I really have to think about that, don't I?
Sure.
Well,
all right. Let me put it this way: you guys, you want to get a hold of Benjamin? You can send your messages to me, and I will forward them to him. And if he decides that he wants to communicate with you, that we'll leave it up to him. How's that sound, Ben?
that sounds good. That would be good. You're used to the harassment. I'm not.
I delete hundreds of emails. Come on. That's what the delete button is for.
I kind of have this, if you're going to come at me and mess with me in that way, I am a remote viewer. I check up on people constantly. I send out as much love as I possibly can.
I'm getting a total ringing in my ear right now. Hang on, guys. I'm getting a total ringing in my right ear. What the hell are they trying to tell me? What's going on that's important here? I'm sorry. Here we're talking about ear ringing. I know, and I don't think this is.
And then here they are letting you know that. I think that it's important for people to know that they have these same abilities that they're turning on us. That we are not just sheep. We're actually a very strong people. And if you want to go check in on the government, you can. If you want to, like with the truckers and stuff going all the way to Washington, D.C., I was like, why are you going to Washington, D.C.? The crossroads of the nation are in Oklahoma. All you got to do is drive your rig at 20 miles an hour. That'll shut down the highways. Why are you going to Washington, D.C.? You don't need to go do that. And has anyone noticed that since October 1st, when they had the big FEMA thing, that they've actually established a perimeter for war?
I get a real.
Realize that?
I've had some really dark feelings the past month or two. I'm very concerned, and I'm really glad that we're having this discussion where we talk about nature and nature radiating love and people pulling together, because, these people that we're up against are brutal. I mean, they kill people like Bob Marley and John Lennon. Anyone that unites people, they'll kill. They go against. They murdered Kennedy in broad daylight. And
well, they told me, Mark, that they're not allowed to kill me.
Seriously? Yeah, I remember you saying that. That's right.
Yeah. They actually went out to dinner with the guys, and it was after drinks. We're having drinks. They said, "Yeah, you're in the not can't be killed club." So
they.
You know why? Your biggest invention has not been brought to light yet.
Yeah, that's probably has something to do with it. I had that feeling a long time ago that technology that they use in the future, they don't take out the person that creates that technology. So that could be it. But there's other issues. There's bloodline issues and cosmic things going on.
The worst thing, one of the worst things going on right now, besides Fukushima, which is horrible, is the way they're attacking the children with these vaccines. We have to do something about that. It's ghastly. Have you guys studied that at all?
Yeah, I have. Even the creation of the vaccine is really sick. How they grow it on cow hides and,
they sometimes
egg cultures that aren't healthy.
None
of this stuff is law.
Monkey kidney cells. When they grow a virus, they have to use live tissue, and they'll put it in these monkey kidney cells. Monkeys carry dozens of diseases and viruses, so every time you take one of these vaccines that's related to these monkey kidney cultures, you're getting 20 other viruses. It's horrible. People got to wake up. This stuff is ghastly.
I was doing a show last night, Mark, with a woman, Christina George, and we got into that subject. But when you talk because we were talking about the chemtrails and how the vaccines are just part of the process. It's like part A, and then the chemtrails are part B. But why stop at the chemtrails? I mean, they're the vaccines. That's your child. Well, we were talking about homeschooling and all the nonsense programming that they're trying to subject the children to in school, and they're trying to take control away from the parents and make the state the parent. And I was telling her that it starts with the vaccines. As soon as the child is born, the same day they're born, they're jabbing them with needles and poisoning them with all this garbage. So what do? Homeschool and home birth.
See, I'm so concerned that we might literally have to leave the Northern Hemisphere because, I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit of an alarmist, but I think we're in for
actually,
Go ahead.
It's a consciousness shift, and this is what shifts the consciousness, what I just told you all. We take into our own hands disclosure. We do not wait for our government. We will not be lied to anymore. We go out. This is what changes the paradigm. I have been told this little simple thing changes the paradigm. And then our friends and our family and the sky get involved. And once that happens, it is over. It is done.
One of the things, and Stephen can correct me if I'm wrong, that I have come to the conclusion is this whole thing with disclosure is really now in control. The corporations are in control of this. The government really is not in control of disclosure anymore. It's all gone private. So your government may or may not know that much anymore. What are your thoughts on that?
I got to jump in here, Mark, because
sure.
The people, the thing about the government, and we hit this subject in the roundtables quite a bit, and it's this whole idea of marching on the government and complaining about the government, trying to change the government and working within the system. I got to tell you, the system is going to go away. The government is going to go away. The money is going to go away. It's all going to go away. Everything is going to change. What we are transitioning into and what we're graduating into is going to have nothing to do with the government. So I say, don't play their game. Turn your back on them.
I agree. I think we ought to disconnect from their whole system, grow our own food, be as independent as we can possibly be. Going to the government for disclosure or anything like that, that's kind of like asking Al Capone to help you out. That makes no sense to me at all. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Really. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So anyway, that's my rant for this evening.
We're getting down to the last few minutes, and we still have some time to talk, but I guess I'm going to try to cover some of the the closing stuff before we start hearing music. Mark, thanks for being with us tonight and taking the time. I know I gotta be honest with you. I was in a bad mood. I mean, things were ticking me off, and this has been building for a while. So you apologize, you guys, for bringing that into the show tonight. Ben, I know you've been waiting for a while to get onto the show. We've been, we try to get you. In fact, I wanted to talk a little bit about your experiences with Jackie, the girl that was on the show the other day. Maybe we can talk about that real quick before the show is over, and you're going to have to be brief. And I do want to thank all of you out there that are listening, and I want to thank everybody in the chat room. And I also want to remind everybody that Revolution Radio has a Facebook page, and I would really like you guys to visit that Facebook page and like it. We're up to 1,500, and I want to see that a lot higher, and that's facebook.com/Freedom Slips. And of course, Mark, you're not into Facebook, right? You don't do that?
I'm on Facebook, but I don't use it too much. I do have a Ohio Exopolitics Facebook page, and
we're going to get you to change that. I think start promoting yourself a little bit more, because I think Facebook is really a great tool for that.
Yeah, I think so too. I probably should. I don't know. I'm so like this conversation tonight. That's what I do it for. I do it for the love of doing it, and it's part of my own growth process, and I enjoy that.
Well, we want to help you do it.
Sure.
That's why you're here right now. It's like my listeners are your listeners, and we're trying to help each other expand our audience.
And we have a lot of things to correct in our society. We've got a lot of big issues, and I think we're going to have to focus on uniting and doing shows like this in order to solve some of these problems. Because the government's not going to do it.
No, and they hate us. They really hate what we're doing.
Oh.
We are, my God, they do not like us. How many NSA people have we got out there? Shout out to all the NSA people.
Can you imagine? Now just think about Fukushima. It's been going on for, what, a year and a half now? We have 3 nuclear reactors that have melted down. We've had a Chernobyl for almost 2 years now, and we're not getting a word from our governments about it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've actually had people accuse me of not talking about it on my show, and I think I talk about Fukushima almost every single show. Hey, Ben, real quick, we're almost over. We're possibly 2 minutes here. Real quick. Well, I don't know if we have time, but can you tell us real quick what happened when you called my previous guest, the girls, about your experience?
Well, she was busy, she was at work, but we were actually able to communicate through email, and I had told her what I had done in the way of communicating ETs, and she didn't think it was such a great idea because she had been hurt through her experiences with the ETs. So she was definitely contacted with the regressive ETs, the ones that would definitely hurt people. And I kind of put myself in her shoes, and quite frankly, if I had been raped by something that was a very scary situation, I would not want to go out and try and provoke a response. But at the same time, just like on our planet, if you are hurt, you are supposed to go to the authorities. You are supposed to tell on them. You are supposed to let them know that they did something they're not supposed to do.
Yeah. Uh-oh, I think that's our show. Is that our music's coming in here? Yes, okay. All right, everybody.
Hey, Stephen, real quick, thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you, Mark. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Thanks,
you
Benjamin.
guys. I really appreciate you being here. Everybody, tune in. We have roundtables. I will be on Wednesday at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning, so join me there. And join us on Facebook. Thank you for being here tonight. God bless you all.